Welcome back to AllAboutRx. Today, we're breaking down one of the absolute most fundamental topics you'll ever encounter in physical pharmacy, and that's the USP dissolution apparatus. Whether you're prepping for your board exams or gearing up for those high-stakes pharmaceutical industry interviews, understanding these 7 specific types of apparatus is, honestly, absolutely essential. I'm really thrilled to help you master this material, so grab your notes and let's dive right in. Okay, let's get into it. Here is the quick roadmap for our explainer today. 1. What is dissolution? 2. The primary workhorses. 3. Simulating GI and flow. 4. Transdermal testing. 5. Implants and suppositories. And finally, 6. Summary and exam tips. Section 1. What is dissolution? The fundamental anchor. Let's start with a quick refresher. Dissolution is basically defined as the process where a solid drug substance dissolves into a solvent, which we call the dissolution medium. But practically speaking, this test evaluates the rate and the extent of a drug's release from its dosage form in an in vitro setting. I mean, you definitely want to know exactly how that tablet's going to behave before it ever reaches a patient, right? So to standardize this globally, the USP defines 7 distinct types of dissolution apparatus. They're numbered 1 through 7, and each one is meticulously optimized for very specific formulation types. Moving on to Section 2, the primary workhorses, Apparatus I and II, the baskets and paddles. If you ever walk into a pharmaceutical lab, these are the foundational tools you're going to see running pretty much nonstop. First up is Apparatus I, the rotating basket. Picture a small stainless steel basket. The dosage form is placed directly inside this basket, which then rotates at a very carefully controlled RPM right inside the dissolution vessel that contains the testing medium. The really key feature here is that the dosage form is completely enclosed within that mesh basket. And that enclosed design illustrates exactly why it's used for these specific formulations. Think about a low-density floating tablet, or just a standard gelatin capsule. If you just dropped those into a beaker, they'd float right to the top or act completely unpredictably, right? Because the stainless steel basket rotates inside the vessel, it's absolutely perfect for capsules or floating tablets that might disintegrate irregularly. The basket just keeps everything safely contained and completely controlled. Next, we have Apparatus II, the paddle apparatus. This mechanism is elegantly simple. So, instead of a basket, a paddle rotates directly over the dosage form, which is just allowed to rest down at the very bottom of the dissolution vessel. Now listen closely here, because this is a crucial point. Apparatus II is the single most widely used apparatus in the entire pharmaceutical industry, and across official pharmacopoeias. It is the unquestioned default choice, literally the true workhorse of the industry. Because it is the default, it's highly suitable for a huge range of solid oral dosage forms. We're talking conventional tablets, film-coated tablets, and especially your fast release and immediate release, or IR, formulations. It's also great for orally disintegrating tablets and even powder suspensions. Though, side note, for suspensions, you might need to use sinkers just to keep things weighed down at the bottom. Going forward, try to use Apparatus II as your baseline mental contrast for the more specialized equipment we're about to look at. Section 3, Simulating GI and Flow, Apparatus III and IV. Okay, now we're stepping up the complexity. We're moving from static vessels to apparatuses designed to mimic dynamic bodily systems and maintain constant fluid flow. Apparatus III introduces the reciprocating cylinder. Unlike the spinning motion of the basket or paddle, this mechanism uses an up and down motion. The tablet or capsule actually sits in small cylindrical glass tubes, and the agitation is controlled by how fast the cylinder dips and lifts. The real magic here, though, is that the medium can be completely changed during the test. Because we can change that medium mid-test, it's ideal for simulating GI tract transit with sequential pH changes. Imagine a drug moving from the highly acidic stomach right into the more basic intestines. This apparatus mimics that transition beautifully. So naturally, it's your go-to for modified release formulations, enteric-coated dosage forms that have to survive that harsh stomach acid, and chewable tablets. Next up is Apparatus IV, the flow-through cell. What's super interesting about this mechanism is the total paradigm shift in fluid dynamics. Instead of just a set volume of liquid sitting in a vessel, fresh dissolution medium is pumped continuously through a cell containing the dosage form. And you can set this up in either an open or closed loop. Because the medium is pumped continuously, this setup maintains what we call sink conditions at all times. Basically, that means the solvent never ever becomes saturated. This makes Apparatus IV the absolute ultimate solution for testing poorly soluble drugs, specifically those in BCS Class II and Class IV.
If a drug is incredibly stubborn and hard to dissolve, you need that constant flow of fresh medium to accurately measure its release. It's also really effective for testing implants, microparticles, raw powders, and doing complex biorelevant testing.
Section 4. Transdermal Testing. The patch testing duo, Apparatus V and V. Let's shift our focus to these two. Keeping your mental filing cabinet organized by formulation type is for sure the best way to memorize these. And these next two, they're all about transdermal patches. Let's put them head to head. For patches, we use either the paddle over disc, which is Apparatus V, or the rotating cylinder, Apparatus VI. Apparatus V uses the exact same paddle setup as Apparatus II, but it adds a disc at the bottom of the vessel to securely hold a transdermal patch totally flat. But what if you have an adhesive-type patch that just simply cannot lie flat on a desk? Well, that's where the alternative, Apparatus VI, saves the day. The patch is mounted to the outer surface of a cylinder, which then rotates to provide uniform agitation. The bottom line is both of them keep the patch secure for incredibly accurate testing.
Section 5. Implants and suppositories. Apparatus VII.
That brings us to our final specialized apparatus, which takes the whole concept of automated media changes to an entirely new level. Apparatus VII is the reciprocating holder. The sequence of operations here is actually fascinating. First, you have multiple holders that secure the dosage forms. Then, the machine physically moves these holders up and down, transferring them between multiple distinct media containers in a fully automated sequence. By physically moving the drug between multiple media containers, it closely mimics the actual physical transit through the full GI tract from one pH condition to the next. Now, because of this heavy-duty, highly automated biomimicry, Apparatus V7 is really reserved for highly complex formulations. You'll see it specifically used for implants, drug-device combinations, suppositories, and highly specialized modified-release formulations that absolutely require that sequential media exposure to be evaluated accurately. Section 6. Summary and exam tips. Your ultimate cheat sheet. Let's see how all of this builds into our master summary, designed specifically to maximize your recall for those upcoming boards and interviews. I highly recommend you just pause the explainer right here. Take a screenshot, write this down, whatever works for you. This uncluttered master table really brings it all together. You can clearly trace the evolution from the simple rotating basket of apparatus I used for floating capsules, down through the pH simulating reciprocating cylinder of Apparatus III, into the transdermal tools of V and V, all the way to the complex reciprocating holder of Apparatus VII for implants. Seeing them side by side like this, it makes the distinct mechanism of each one crystal clear. And guys, I literally cannot stress this next point enough. Here is your golden exam tip directly from the study notes. Remember, Apparatus II is the most widely used in the pharmaceutical industry. If an exam question or an interviewer asks you, which apparatus is most widely used, do not overthink it. The answer is always, always Apparatus II. To really lock this in, let's run through our quick recall checklist rapid-fire style. Ready? Type I is the basket for capsules. Type 2 is the paddle for immediate release tablets, and it's your industry default. Type 3 is the reciprocating cylinder for modified release and pH simulation. Type 4 is the flow-through cell for those poorly soluble drugs. Type 5 is the paddle over disc for transdermal patches, and Type 6 is your rotating cylinder alternative for patches. Finally, Type 7 is the reciprocating holder for complex implants and suppositories. With all of that safely categorized in your mind, I'm going to leave you with a question. Based on everything we just covered, which apparatus will you choose for your very next formulation? Seriously, think about the physical properties of the drug and the environment it needs to release into. Thank you so much for joining me for this session on AllAboutRx. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more pharmacy lecture content. Check the link in the bio for the full study notes, and I will see you in the next explainer.